Gracias. Bye, John Rainey. Bye. Hello. Hopefully that didn't blast your ears off. Greetings from my studio once again. It's a tad bit breezy outside here in Southern California. Thankfully, though, not as windy as it has been. Anyway, greetings. Hope you guys are doing well. I'm so sorry. The freaking door. It's an ancient door. It's antique. So it gets stuck a lot. Love it. What was I saying? I hope you guys have been doing well and having a good week and all of that and staying as sane as you can in an insane world with a little bit of this, a little bit of paint, a little bit of creativity. Anyway, I have been I can't really talk about something yet. And so I'm trying to, in real time, figure out the words to say so that I don't give too much info away. There's a lot of things moving around behind the scenes that I've been focusing on. There you go. That's great. That's just enough information for the internet. So things have been moving around. Very exciting, good things. Everything is great. Family is fantastic. All of that. Doing well. The reason why I have been, what am I even saying? Oh my gosh. Okay, so I've been focusing on these things. BTS. So I haven't been doing Clarence as much. Okay, so I haven't been able to focus on Clarence as much because I've just been, things have been a little bit upside down slightly work-wise. So I've been way more invested in the life stuff. Miles has been home from sick a lot. Okay, first time talking today, obviously. Miles has been homesick from school a lot, and this month we have him in a cute little school up here that I'm not going to say the name of because, again, this is the internet. And he just started it, and he's loving it. But he's literally been sick for like 2.5 weeks with various things. Both him and I had norovirus last week. I don't recommend getting that one. Don't recommend it. It was short and sweet, like 48 hours for me. I don't know how long it was for Miles. It was longer for Miles. It's not a fun virus. Let's just say that. It was not fun for 48 hours. So I do not wish that upon you. And then after that, he got a fever from something else, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, all that to say, I've been mom duties, nurturing a sick kid back to health the past 2-3 weeks. And so Clarence has been a little bit on the back burner because the priorities shift, and I want to be there for my child when he is sick. And I am very grateful that I have the flexibility to do that with my job. Anyway, that plus the moving parts that I hinted at, a lot more focus going on the personal life stuff. And so work stuff has been a little bit jumbled. But today was my first day back in the office, where I had a chunk of time to sit and focus. And that's another thing too. I was coming into the office very sporadically the past week, in between, dealing with Miles being sick or doing this thing or that thing or that thing. I would pop in here and answer urgent things or tend to the more this needs to get done things, like answering emails that I needed to answer and whatnot. What have you? So And I didn't want to like, just like, okay, I'm going to sit down and do Clarence. Let's like hunker down and pull up the bootstraps of inspiration and just like put my nose down and paint some wonderful magical scenes like with such a limited time, you know, like jumping from that to that, like that takes me a moment to really settle in and finally find my like stream of inspiration and focus when I'm painting. I can't do that. I can't like just shift gears all of a sudden. So I do like to, I think I've mentioned this before, but I do like to meditate before, or like collect my energy back before I sit down and paint. That's a pretty huge focus in my course, The Art Within, is integrating or combining the like practice of creativity. So beyond just like, here's how to paint and here's a step-by-step tutorial of something. The practice of creativity is like, you know, how do you set up the environment? How do you, you know, clearing your mind so that you're more mindful before you step into your creative practice, because you can't really get into those fun, juicy worlds of your own creation if your thoughts are all over the place. You need to be able to daydream and fantasize and role play in your head and do things like, for example, I've been painting these 3 scenes for the children's book that I'm writing. Hi, hello, I'm writing a children's book. This is part, I think, 8 of a series of videos that I've been doing. I just interrupted myself. But a series of videos that I'm doing where I am taking you along this wild ride of me writing and illustrating a children's book. The writing is done. The story is done. So now I'm just like finding the scenes and the world of Clarence. And so if you've been following along, love ya for it. Thank you. The real ones know that this is the juiciness of this channel right now. I feel that way. I know that I've been posting watercolor videos for like 5 years, and I will always be getting subscribers for that reason, because we have videos that, you know, they just got a lot of views. And, you know, they get subscribers. And so there's going to be people who stumble on these videos, or people who, you know, have been followers for a while or subscribers for a while. Oh, but this like type of content that I think I've been doing in the last few weeks, I think is actually the juicy stuff. Not to toot my own horn. But I do believe that I just think talking about the creative process and the practice of creativity is very, very helpful, especially for artists if you're trying to develop your own style, or not even if you're like, I want my own style so that I can have a brand, or I don't know, whatever else you would use your unique style for if you're not sharing your work with anyone. But you know, it's nice to be able to just like look at the world around you and study it and then paint it with confidence without having to follow a tutorial every time that you sit down and paint. So being able to be a little bit more free with your creativity allows you to come up with worlds of your own, like what I've been doing with this Clarence stuff, or paint the world around you, because you can analyze it and see which, you know, route to take in order to create it, to manifest it on paper. Also, as a side note, I've been deciding because of the like loosey-goosey style or the casual style of these videos now, before, you know, John was filming and it was like a whole thing. We had multiple camera angles and light copyrighted music, that we licensed, in playing in the background lightly. So the style is going to be way more loosey-goosey because it's just me now, because John is a full-time writer now. So he has a book that is available on Amazon if you want to check it out, but it is very good. It is very, very good. He spent 2 years writing it. I think I said that last video. Anyway, so it's just me now filming these videos. So you're just going to get the casual, I grew up on musical theater. I'm sorry if I throw in a really bad, cringy British accent sometimes. I can't help it. That was a bad one. I can't help it. So it just comes out. And I think that that's needed more in the world, actually. So you're welcome. Anyway, back to what I think I was originally going to talk about, which is Clarence. So today was my first full day in the office where I had like 4 hours consecutive to do things. I had to film this video and I wanted to make some progress on Clarence. My ideal day during this whole project has been if I come away with one illustration that I'm happy with a day, I'm content, I'm stoked. If I come away at the end of the day with 3 illustrations at the end of the day for Clarence, then I'm literally elated. Like that is great progress and I'm so happy about that. So to my surprise, I sat down probably about 45 minutes ago, maybe an hour. And, you know, when I first got into the studio, I fidgeted, I got the right music. I needed to have a specific type of music today to really get me into flow, which is another part of the creative practice process is setting the scene, romanticizing, to bring in some social media cringy cliche, romanticizing your painting life moment. So anyway, turned on the right tunes. Today it was my sound playlist. I will link to it in this description. Future Jenna, don't forget to link this Spotify playlist. I really hope I don't forget that. Because I will get asked and then I will respond with the link and that's fine. That just is more of a delay. Anyway, okay, so I'll remember that. Sound, what am I talking about? 3, I'm elated. I got 3 today within the first 10 to 15 minutes of sitting down. Actually, I got 2.5 because I'm actually not done with the third. But I was painting, and if you don't know the history behind this children's book, the inspiration, why I'm writing it, check out the first video in this series, which I will link to. I hope future Jenna also remembers to do that because remember, it's just me now doing these. I am not the videographer. John was the videographer. I am not the whatever else he did. Editor, music person. I have an editor, so thank God. Rachel, you rock. But I'm doing the lighting, and that's why that happened. I don't know how to, I'm sorry. I don't know how to properly light myself. So that's another thing too. I've been getting comments on like, well, your face looks different or your makeup looks amazing or stuff like that, which thank you. It probably looks different because the lighting is really harsh and I don't really know what to do about it. And I'm fine with it. That's not why we're here. So I'm going to move on and talk about Clarence. So anyway, I'm painting these scenes where it's so much brighter in real life than it is on the camera. But I'm painting these scenes. There's these 3 main spreads that I wanted where Clarence is essentially painting his emotions in the sky. Not painting necessarily. He's just kind of like exuding them if that's the right word. So 1 second. The first one is anger. Oops. I did a little bit of watercolor in like a tea consistency wash with quinacridone red. Yep. And lots of water. See, sorry. So sorry. And then I did oil pastel on top with like an orangey red oil pastel. And then Clarence's that mix of, can you see it? Yes, okay. Clarence is that mix of watercolor, my face, watercolor and ink. And then I did, you can't really tell, but it's like a lighter blue colored pencil moment for the shadow underneath him. So that's the first spread. Check. I literally got that in like 5 minutes. That was dope. I love when simple things look awesome and you don't have to always overcomplicate the painting to make it like chef's kiss. The next one, is this puffy cloud of sadness. So the red, the anger felt very scribbly. The energy feels twisted and tangled. Then for this one, it's kind of just like a gust that can take over. It just can take over, or a current in a very, speedy river current that just can take over you. This like sadness, this plume of sadness. And then I have yellow, which I don't love the shape of this, so I'm probably going to redo it. But I did a mixture of gouache, watercolor, and that's it. There's a little bit of, there's yellow, obviously. I wanted like a canary yellow. So there's white gouache with primary yellow. And then I have moments of like copper in there and also a little bit of a pastel like tealy yellow. So cool yellows and warm yellows. And I wanted it to feel like rays of light, like beams of light, soft light. So I did dry brush texture and faded out the edges. Can you see that? Where's a good spot? All these noises I'm making. I don't know if you can see that, but I don't like this shape. There's too much shape. There's too much going on. And I want to accentuate the edges more to fade them out and make them look misty almost with dry brush texture. And to make it feel like light, actual light, not just yellow. So yeah, that's what I've been doing today. And then I sat down and decided to film because I was like, well, I should probably bang this out while I'm doing it so I can explain it. And my mom's coming over for dinner. I forgot about that. So I actually don't have as long as I remembered, which is fine. I'm happy with how much progress I've gotten. I'm probably going to just have you hang out here while I do this one over, I think. Yeah, we decide things in real time for these videos because I don't have time to prepare. I'm focusing on Clarence and limiting things to what I really need to focus on, the essentials, which brings me the off-the-cuff energy, which I actually think is much more fruitful than the other stuff that we were doing. And you know what? I said this in my last video, I think it was my last video or 2 videos ago. I'm trying to find a balance between like doing step-by-step tutorials and then doing these like talking to the camera about like creativity and bigger messages and things and then talking about my process for writing this book. I'm trying to figure out what that balance is, because I recognize that a lot of people are here because they came for watercolor tutorials. And I want to respect that. However, I think I have enough. I think I have enough to get you where you need to go with it. And I also have my monthly membership in Patreon, where I do a live art class, and that is a step-by-step tutorial thingy dingy. So I'm kind of, and you can let me know in the comments. I'm very open to feedback. I obviously am very appreciative of my audience, of having this platform and all of that. And so I want to do this in the most graceful, respectful, appreciative way that I can. Even though I recognize this is a free video. You don't have to pay to watch it. You don't have to, you don't have to choose to watch it also. You can watch other ones from other people. However, I understand the commitment and the, just the desire for wanting the same thing. However, I think that there's more for us on this journey together. I think that there are more things for us to talk about that help to amplify what we've already talked about, which is watercolor. And I think we can just go deeper in our connection to creativity and to ourselves a little bit more, and not in the cheesy, cringy way. I don't want it to feel like that. I hope you know that all of the things that I talk about in these Clarence Chronicles, these Clarence Chronicle videos is genuine. It comes from a very genuine place. I really, really just want to help people. And I've seen firsthand, especially through having this YouTube channel. And I guess we're going down this deep talk tangent now. But since having this channel for the last 5 years, I've seen through the comments firsthand how impactful creativity is for people's lives. I've literally received messages from people, and it makes you want to tear up, but from people who, have had loved ones pass away. And the only thing that brought them joy in the last few years of their life was watercolor, my books or my channel, or just learning from me at first, and then it led to this journey, whatever. And family members sending us emails thanking for the teaching and for she was, suffering in her last years, but she was always peaceful when she was painting or whatever, literal tearjerker stories almost come in on a daily basis they do come in on a daily basis from people. Didn't mean to cry on the internet today, but from people. And it's just really cool. It's really cool to be a part of that, and to be a part of that healing that's happening for people. And anyway, I want to help continue that journey for people, just by sharing my experience and sharing what I'm working on and being as candid through that process as I possibly can. So you're going to get a lot more of my weirdness. You're going to get a lot more of the awkward quirk in me that I've always had. I just, when you are in teaching step-by-step mode, whatever it is, there's this teacher Jenna that rolls in, and it's just I can flow so easily and focus on that and just bop, 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 say all the things that I need to say and whatnot, and make it a really juicy tutorial, make it a really good tutorial. But for whatever reason, the quirky, weird Jenna, just kind of like, okay, your job here is done. It's okay. And she just kind of sits quiet in the corner and waits her turn. And when it's her turn, the cameras are usually off. Because I'm not thinking as hard, I think is what's happening. I don't know. But you would definitely see the quirkiness eke out in my tutorials. What am I talking about? There were definitely like crazy weird moments in a lot of these tutorials that I've done over the years on my channel. So you knew I was weird. You knew what you were signing up for. Anyway, I'm going to actually start painting, like I said. So I'm going to put this microphone down. Hopefully you can see that. But Clarence is down here and he's like officially starting to get into it. He starts off a little more hesitant, and as the colors splish splosh, he gets a little bit more of a fancy stance. He gets a little bit more of a playful stance. So he's down here in pencil. You probably can't see that. But I don't like this shape. I don't like what's happening down here. I think if it was just boo, 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 would be nice. But maybe also this, but just smaller. Because this just feels like a mustache. I don't want a mustache. So, going back to my colors, I used light bismuth. Bismuth? That's the craziest word. Light bismuth yellow by Golden. I love this brand of acrylic paint, Golden. I love their liquid series too, but this is like buttery. It's so nice. And highly recommend. Anyway, that color, it's a canary yellow, just like by itself. It's a yummy, yummy buttercream yellow. This is a Sylvan Clayworks palette. She's my fave. I have 1, 2, these 2, 3, another moon one. This is for gouache. And a tiny little dinky moon one. This is also for gouache with more of like my bold colors and my slightly more pastel colors. This is for, I don't know. I use acrylic in here sometimes. I use gouache in here sometimes. I use watercolor in here sometimes. I use watercolor ink in here sometimes. I don't really care if I'm not supposed to do that for whatever reason. I do it. Can you hear me? I know my microphone isn't as close anymore. We'll do this. I just wasn't sure. Oh, that's such a better. I wish I had it here the whole time. Anyway, the light bismuth yellow with, where did it go? I had it right here. Where did it go? My friggin', what? Oh, it's underneath the microphone. My Mary gouache in copper, and it's actually shiny. It's actually metallic. So I'm just like lightly glazing this for a sparkle over the, like with a, what am I saying? A lot of water and the gouache. Because gouache, if you didn't know, gouache is the opaque version of watercolor. So anyway, it's similar, a lot of similarities to watercolor. It's just more opaque and buttery and yummy. So anyway, I have that color and the copper color. And I'm dipping in my primary yellow watercolor from my Mary Blue. I'll link to all the supplies. I link to all my supplies in every video, but I'll link to them again, just so you know. Okay, so this is the color blend that I'm using. And then like I said a little bit earlier, I'm also like going in on phthalo turquoise and mixing it with this bismuth, Mr. Biz guy, as I go along. I'm gonna sketch things first. Whoa there, girl. Don't get ahead of yourself. Where's the... So he's gonna be looking up, and Clarence is this guy. There he is. So he's this like gumdrop shape, grayish watercolor guy with skinny, scrawny legs and arms and button eyeballs and mouth. So he is, just this guy. So the shape that I'm drawing is this upside down U shape, and I'm just tilting it. Like if you were to picture tilting a horseshoe so that it's, instead of parallel lines going this way, you're just going this way. You're shifting the angle a little bit. That's gonna make him look like he's looking up. And then instead of doing a, you can't even see that, I'm not even gonna play. Instead of doing a straight line to connect the sides of this upside down U shape, straight line across, it's more of a angle down to give that angle as well of looking up. His legs are the most difficult part of this entire painting. It looks really simple, but there's actually, let's see if I can, I'll show you in the other one once I finish drawing this, but this is nice, hey Teach. There's this perspective of his legs need to, I want them to be fun and playful, and so I'm crossing them. But I need to show one closest to us and then behind instead of just straight on. Anyway, so that's the hardest part, and I'm just gonna doodle that really quick. So I'm gonna be silent. There it is. Leg number one. It's gonna go pointing this way. And then we're bending in. Bending in like we're dancing. Like we're dancing. A note on creating something from your imagination. I'm trying to like audibly process what my process for creativity is. So, and I hope it's helpful. It might not be, take what is and leave what isn't. But if you're trying to come up with something that's totally original, like you're trying to come up with a scene, or you're painting for a children's book that you wrote, and coming up with your own specific unique character, and obviously like creating the world that he exists in the story. Or let's say you're like trying to come up with your own floral painting idea or whatever, and you're just like trying to come up with original painting ideas using your imagination for that. Literally, and it's different for flowers, but specifically for this, like when there's a character, I've just been becoming Clarence. And, being in his, like imagining myself in his body, closing my eyeballs. And like, for example, there's this scene where, and this is maybe the musical theater in me, and I do talk about role play quite a bit in the Creativity Playbook, which is available on my website. It's like $47, but it helps you implement structure into your creative practice so that you know what to practice every single day for the next like 90 days. Anyway, a little shameless plug, but role play, excuse me, is one of those activities that you might not think really strengthens your ability to paint and come up with your own unique ideas, but it does. You know why? It helps you deepen your well of empathy, because you can understand what it's like to express emotions that maybe you didn't have a place to express growing up. Whoa, we're getting deep. But because I was in musical theater, I've been thinking about this a lot, actually, in my healing journey and inner work stuff that I do, which is like my hobby. That's what I do with my free time, because I don't know who I am. Anyway, so I have been thinking on this whole aspect of musical theater and like deepening empathy and compassion for people and how important creativity is. It's not just like, oh yeah, now they have a cool skill, they can paint. Oh yeah, my daughter can sing because she took music lessons. They're actually, and this is obvious, but they're actually activating centers of your brain that are helpful for, relationships and life things. They're helping you develop those things. So anyway, role play activity, I talk about this a lot in the creativity playbook, but role play helps you to broaden or deepen your access to empathy, because back to my musical theater note, you're able to become something, and it's just for play. You're not like, that's not who you are, but you get to like try it out. And for people who like really allow themselves to go fully into it and full into an emotion or a scene or a role, and they're just like deeply connected to their feelings, essentially, then you viscerally feel it. Like if you've ever been in, real life, gone to a musical or gone to even a show with musicians and things and singers and stuff, like you can feel the difference when someone is just like kind of singing mechanically or acting mechanically or whatever, and they're really good at memorizing their lines, but they're not like, feeling it, putting the feeling in there. You can feel the difference. That is obvious, not rocket science here. However, role play is really important for activating your imagination so that you can come to your own ideas, come up with your own original ideas for painting scenes or a bouquet of flowers in your own unique style or whatever. And just like getting into the Clarence role and feeling into what would my expressions be if I were Clarence, if I felt this type of way, hearing what the crow says to me that I'm not going to say because I'm not giving the story away, or whatever. Like, what would my reaction be if I were acting this out right now? And if I were like on a stage role playing as Clarence or the crow in the book. So, and then if you're like trying to come up with something that's not Clarence related, and it's not like, it doesn't have characters in it, it's more like you're trying to come up with your own uniquely styled floral bouquet or something. So you imagine yourself like playing with these flowers and seeing the shapes that they take. There are huge steps in the creative process of finding out your style when we're talking about texture and line weight and shape. And do you want like whimsical feeling or more modern and cleaned up? Like, if you want to talk about developing your style so that you feel more confident to create like a floral piece or a landscape or whatever with your own. I don't really have much time because that was your battery's about to die notification. So it cut me off. And so here we are in part 2. Intermission, as they say in musical theater. Anyway, so what was I saying? Oh, there's all these steps to finding your style. The 9 elements of style is something that I talk about in The Art Within. Once again, shameless plug. But that's my course on developing your style. So anyway, done with the shameless plugs. I think I'm going to end the video on that because I need water so bad. It's extremely dry here in California. It's crazy. So I'm going to go get water, and I am going to do this painting, and then maybe that's where we'll pick up next week when you see me again. Okay. Goodbye, everyone. Have a nice day. Have a really good week. And happy painting. Toodles.